alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters.
Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters.
And today we're going to do a reaction video to all the comments that we've had on the Guinness video.
Muslims drink Guinness.
Muslims drink Guinness. Let's have some of though. It's non-alcoholic. It's a lot of the brothers and sisters have pointed out that it's got 0.5% in it, but so does orange juice, so does apple juice, so does bread, so does vinegar. But is that around?
Questionable.
It's questionable.
What's the question?
So you can't have no more turkey bacon butties because the bread is got 0.5 in it.
It's got yeast in it. What do you think? What do you think you use to make alcohol? Yeast, man. But anyway, before we start by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sing our salutation on the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu Muhammadan abduhu wa rasul. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rahmanir rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. So alhamdulillah, do you want to have your say, Ash?
There's a few points to pick up on. So the first and obvious one is obviously you guys commenting. To the guys that have not commented, or the guys that have commented saying and used their logic and said, you know, it's got 0.05% in it, but it's not haram for certain reasons. You know, you're not making an assumption. You know, it's not alcohol. You know, you were drinking 0%. Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you.
Bless you all.
But for those that were
judgmental,
came into the comment section without any wisdom, without any logic, without actually researching before they decided to reply. Yes, it might say 0%, and yes, it might be 0.5% because no distillery can guarantee, well, apart from one comment I've seen, no normal distillery can guarantee 100% no alcohol in their drinks, but they can take the most out of it. 0.05% is not enough to get anybody intoxicated, even if you're drinking. You'd have to drink it in an extremely large quantity. For me, for someone like my size, we'll probably have to drink 2 crates of it, 3 crates of it before it even touches me in terms of intoxication.
I might have to do
Brother
7.
Chris might have to do 7 or 8.
7 crates.
He's a big boy. Alhamdulillah. But the point is, like Chris mentioned, orange juice has 0.05%. Grape juice, apple juice, they all contain ethanol, small traces of ethanol which cannot be distilled out. Bread contains yeast, which is used to make alcohol. So you can't have bread, you can't have wheat, you can't eat a punnet of grapes in a large quantity because you're going to get intoxicated.
Where does it end?
Where does it end? Yeah. So that's the first comment. That's the first thing, innit?
No, we've got to understand people take the opinion. If you take the opinion, especially if it's your country's opinion that you don't have 0.0, but somebody does take the opinion that they believe it's halal, we should respect each other's opinion. We shouldn't be coming on and, you know, one thing I want to pick up on is the Khawarij mentality in our comment section. The Khawarij mentality is so basically this was an experiment, so to speak, to see, and why we did it is to make us think. All of us should think when they see the Muslim brother sinning, they should assume good. And if you're going to give nasiyah, there's conditions. The first condition is to give salams. The second condition is to do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third is to do it privately. But everybody, what they do in this great book here, the 40 hadith, I can read it to you, the hadith of nasiyah. Alhamdulillah, if you go to read this book, and you'll see that nasiyah, there's conditions to it. Now, if you're coming at our comment section and you go, you're lost, what sort of advice is that? Firstly, non-Muslims watch our thing. Secondly, new Muslims watch our thing. And thirdly, Muslims who are trying to learn watch our thing. What sort of nasiyah is you going, you're lost, how can you be a Muslim if you're doing this? How does a sin take you out the fold of Islam? Ask yourself that question. It does not take you out the fold of Islam. That is a Khawarij mentality. The Khawarij mentality, they believed that if you sin, you're not a Muslim anymore. So reflect on yourself. The reason we did this was to make you think, why am I Muslim? Why are you Muslim? The reason that, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu came for the first 13 years to teach character, manners, and we've seen a large percentage of no manners, no character,
no
etiquettes, and it's proved our point. That video has proved our point.
As Chris mentioned, the etiquettes of Nasiyah come from the Quran and Sunnah. So the comments that we're seeing about imitation, about character, assuming that we're drinking alcohol, assuming that we are promoting the alcohol version of Guinness.
Let me start killing you, don't buy that Guinness.
You come with your comments from the Quran and Sunnah, but you don't use the Quran and Sunnah to actually give your advice or give your comments, which is contradictory and it's hypocritical.
Yeah.
And when people are making comments such as, they're probably not Muslim.
There's two non-Muslims who have admitted they're not Muslim, and they're saying they have Muslim friends, but we don't take nasiyah from non-Muslims.
Exactly.
that's
Non-Muslims can't
clear.
come and teach us about religion. Non-Muslims can't come on that comment section and say, well, it's still got 0.5% or 5% alcohol, so it's not permissible. How do you know that? How do you know? First of all, if that is the case and 0.5% was halal, we wouldn't be able to, was haram, we wouldn't be able to drink apple juice, grape juice, we wouldn't be able to eat bread. Yeah? So the actual ruling itself is that it cannot be, not necessarily in itself, but like it can't be too much where it gets you intoxicated. That's not enough. If you have one kind of non-alcoholic Guinness at 0.5%, it's not going to get you intoxicated. It can't get you intoxicated. Therefore.
I think the comments are run by emotions, Ash.
Yeah, it is by emotions.
It's not run by the Quran and Sunnah. Your nasiyah's not there. The Quran and Sunnah's not in the field. I think one person I've had, and one beautiful brother, I'm not going to mention his name, alhamdulillah, messaged me privately, which is the right way to do it, and said in his country it's not permissible. Alhamdulillah. But you've got to remember, yeah, we come from we are English Muslims, and we don't drink alcohol. We practice in Muslims. So for you to sit there and assume and and a few people these white reverts, racist like comments, typical white reverts and typical You know what? We didn't do this to promote the Guinness. We actually covered the Guinness. If you look, did we cover the Guinness?
People don't watch the video properly.
You know what? We covered the Guinness with our hands.
Straight away.
We did it to educate the Muslims. Now we can tell you, look, do not assume bad of us. Do not, and even if we was sinning, do not expose our sin. Alhamdulillah, new Muslims, when they come to Islam, they will fall into stuff like this. But it's our job as Muslims to help them come away from this, not to push them away from Islam. So the comments would have pushed, if we were new Muslims and we didn't have a clue what we're talking about, it could have pushed us away from not being a Muslim, but going to the mosque. Or it's very important that new Muslims go to the mosque. That's all I'm saying. But when they feel like, everything they're doing, they're getting judged, they're getting this, they've only just become Muslim, and you're telling them to do this, do that, change the name, change the dress. What we do
is to show non-Muslims that are maybe white British, white Irish, people of backgrounds where they've drank before, or they've gone clubbing, or they've done these things that they shouldn't have done in the past. Is to show them that when they come, they don't have to change their identity. Yeah, you stop going to clubs, you stop drinking alcohol, you stop doing whatever you were doing in the past life that's not halal, but they can still have a culture. Yeah, they can still have a little bit of fun. And I personally don't feel like we've mocked the deen of Allah. What I found funny was the hypocrisy in the comments, because people are saying, you can clearly see us covering the actual label name, but it clearly shows 0.0%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they say 0.0% and there's no way that they say it's
that's
0.5%,
an etiquette in itself, really.
How can you come in the comment section and say it's still got 0.5% if there's nowhere on the can that it says 0.5%? You might find on the website it has a disclaimer that it says This may still contain a very small, minute amount, such and such percentage, but I have not found that anywhere. Chris has not found that anywhere. We've not seen that anywhere. But the same ruling would apply to many of you Muslims that go to a halal takeaway. It's got a halal logo on the window, but you don't have to see the halal certificate. You just take it as halal. Exactly. It's the same concept. It says 0.70%. You take it as that. You don't think bad of your brothers. You don't make assumptions of your brothers. And you take it how it is. You make excuses for them. That is what it's supposed to be. We're not asking for your excuses, but that is this video now, and that video is just a representation of what we're trying to teach. Not to make assumptions of your brothers and sisters. Everything we do, every video we do, comes with an nasiyah with it. It comes with advice. It comes with some sort of wisdom, some sort of good intentions behind it. We don't have bad intentions for nobody. We don't want people to come in our comment section and just have a war with them.
So all the people that said bad stuff about us, we forgive you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not going to take your good deeds.
Alhamdulillah.
We're going to let you keep your good deeds on the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us all, and hopefully, inshallah, we can teach people not to assume so quickly. Everything you see is not what it seems to be. There's so many things that when I first become Muslim, I got wrong. I was quick to go point fingers, but you'd always have 4 fingers pointing back.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I want to remind you, brothers and sisters: you're not perfect. Trust me. And alhamdulillah, when you're giving nasiyah, make sure you're squeaky clean, because I've seen two sisters trying to give nasiyah, and they don't wear hijab. Alhamdulillah, make it easy on them. Half-naked women. I've seen 3 brothers trying to give us nasiyah, and just think, all 5 of these, no salams, no remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just straight to the point. That's not how you give nasiyah. These 3 brothers all had music, drill music. Alhamdulillah, I know it's a difference of opinion, but still, you're playing drill music, which is definitely haram. When you've got swearing, talking about raping women and stuff like that, that's definitely haram. So, make sure you're not living in a glass house when you're trying to show people or try to guide people. We've had a few aggressive ones as well.
That's some aggressive
Very
ones.
aggressive.
Some aggressive.
Very aggressive,
Some aggressive ones. Well, alhamdulillah, it is what
Keep the same energy.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Very aggressive.
Guys, just remember the points. Don't assume the worst of your brothers. Make excuses for them.
Remember,
come with wisdom
read
and
this
hikmah.
book. The 40 Hadith.
Come with the conditions of nasiyah before you give the nasiyah. Know the conditions of nasiyah before you give nasiyah. And make sure you do it right for the sake of Allah. At the end of the day, people are making comments like you're imitating the kuffar, but if that's the case, shall I stop wearing jumpers? Shall I stop wearing jeans? Shall I stop driving my car and ride a camel on horseback like they did, a few centuries ago?
If you think about it, everybody's into imitating the kuffar, because we live in the Western world. You wouldn't be able to live in the Western world if you didn't imitate the kuffar. Going to the restaurant and eating with knife and forks is imitating the kuffar.
People don't understand that when the hadith came about imitating the kuffar, the Prophet Muhammad specifically did it for that time as well. I know that we do have certain aspects of imitating the kuffar now, but you have to think of when that was actually revealed, and when the Prophet told us not to fast on a certain day because the Jews fasted on this day, or spread out your fasting, fast a day, miss a day, fast a day, because the Jews would fast consecutively in certain times of the year. All that kind of stuff.
Take the middle ground.
Come with hikmah, come with wisdom.
Don't take the extreme. Don't be lenient.
Do what the other brothers did and message us directly.
If you've got a problem with us, message us directly. Because there's 4 of us on the account. There's me, there's Ash and Ben, and there's a brother called Ray. We will get back to you as soon as possible. And if we don't take that opinion, we'll let you know, and we'll let you know why we're doing it. Coming on to comment sections is no benefit in it. It's just we don't know what your intentions are either. Some of it sounds like ego. One comment I read was like, stop this, and I'm like thinking, oh, thanks for the big good advice. Remember, guys, we have a lot of banter. So our comments when we comment back to you, sometimes not serious. We're just going to banter with you. And that's how I am as a person, and no one will ever change who I am as a person.
Sometimes the banter seems harsh, but if you're going to come at us in a way where you've not done it privately, or you've not advised us sincerely, because the way that the tone of comment is not sincere, if you're going to treat us harshly, we might sometimes treat you harshly in the comments and teach you a lesson in terms of like, you know, how we should properly be giving nasiyah. I know we're reverts and you think, you know, we might think that we know everything, but we don't.
I've been a Muslim 8 years, he's been a Muslim 9 years.
Everyone's a Muslim, everyone, end of the day, every Muslim
I've seen it all.
is a student of knowledge
try our best.
in certain terms where we'll always be seeking knowledge, we'll always be going through the stages of knowledge and finding new knowledge every single day. No one's better than anybody except from their iman. So yeah,
we might have to wrap this up because it's 15 minutes long, but don't forget, follow us on Come Deen with me. We've got a lot more stuff coming. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and thank you for listening to me and Ash. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. We forgive all you in them comments. We love you all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if there's any non-Muslims there, read the Quran and then come back and we'll speak then. Alhamdulillah. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And it's a wrap.